"You're not my father. You don't get to tell me what to do," she said while flirting with the DJ. So I left the club, took the car keys, and let her find her own way home. Now she's back at her parents' house, explaining why her engagement photos got deleted. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I used to think I was lucky to have Emily. She was beautiful in that chaotic, magnetic way that made every room bend toward her. The first time I saw her, she was behind the counter at a small cafe near my office, laughing too loud, calling everyone Han. She had that kind of energy that made life feel like something you needed to keep up with. For the first 2 years, things were great. We got engaged after a long weekend trip to the coast. She cried when I proposed, said I was the only person who ever made her feel safe. I believed her. We moved in together, found a quiet apartment outside the city, and started talking about wedding venues. I worked in finance, stable hours, decent salary. Emily worked part-time at a boutique while she figured out her passion. I didn't mind. I covered most of the bills. I liked taking care of her. But around the time she turned 27, something changed. It started with little comments. "You never want to go out anymore. You're too tired all the time. You've gotten so routine." I thought maybe she was just restless, so I tried harder. I planned date nights, weekend getaways, even surprised her with tickets to a concert. She smiled, said thank you, and then spent half the show scrolling through her phone. Then came her new friends, people she'd met through the boutique. They were younger, wilder, living in the moment types. Suddenly, every Friday was a girls' night. Every Sunday morning came with a hangover, and every conversation turned into a lecture about how I was too serious for my age. One night, she came home at 3 a.m. reeking of perfume and tequila. "I lost track of time," she said, kicking off her heels. "You don't have to wait up for me, you know." That was the first time I felt something in me quietly shift. Not anger, just this cold, sinking realization that respect had started leaking out of the relationship, one dismissive laugh at a time. A week later, she told me she wanted us to do something spontaneous and suggested going clubbing with her friends. That was her exact word, spontaneous. "Come on," she said, sliding her arms around my neck. "You never go out. Let's just have fun for once. We're engaged, not dead." I didn't want to go. I didn't like clubs, never had. But saying no to her felt like giving her one more reason to think I was boring. So I agreed. The night before we went, she stood in front of the mirror in a dress I'd never seen before, short, glittering, more like something for a bachelorette party than a casual night out. "You like it?" she asked. "It's a lot," I said honestly. She smiled, almost smug. Exactly. That night, while I watched her spin in the mirror and fix her hair, I realized something painful. I wasn't the man she wanted anymore. I was the man she'd outgrown in her head, the one she thought she needed to escape to find herself. But I still went, because I wanted to believe the woman I proposed to was still somewhere under all that noise. The next evening, we stepped into the club, loud music, flashing lights, and her friends already half drunk at a booth. She grabbed my hand and shouted over the music, "Just try to have fun, okay?" I nodded, but deep down, I already knew. This night wasn't going to end well. The moment we walked into the club, I could tell I didn't belong there. The bass was so heavy it rattled the floor. People were pressed against each other like a moving wall of perfume and sweat. Her friends screamed when they saw her, pulled her in for hugs, and completely ignored me. Emily disappeared into their circle, already dancing before I even found a place to sit. I ordered a drink just to have something to hold. She looked happy, wild, unrestrained, like she'd been waiting for this moment to shake off the quiet life we'd built. I wanted to let her have fun. I really did. But then the little things started piling up. A guy walked over, said something that made her laugh. She leaned closer to hear him, hand brushing his arm. I waited, thinking maybe she'd introduce me, make it clear she was engaged. But she didn't. She just kept laughing, twirling a strand of hair like she was single. I didn't want to make a scene. I walked up behind her, placed a hand on her shoulder. "Hey," I said calmly. "Drink's getting warm." She turned, blinking like she'd forgotten I was there. "Relax, babe. We're just talking." The guy smirked at me, lifted his glass in a mock toast, and walked off. I sat back down, trying to breathe through it. I told myself not to ruin the night. But it didn't stop there. Every time the DJ switched songs, she ran to the booth, cheering him on like she knew him. Eventually, she climbed up on the little platform near the booth, dancing with her hands in the air while the lights hit her ring. Her friend screamed, "Yes, Em. That's the vibe." I got up, walked closer. "Emily," I said quietly when she hopped down, flushed and smiling. "You're getting a little out of hand." She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, don't start." "I'm not starting anything," I said, keeping my tone low. "I just think you're crossing a line." She stared at me for a second, that cold, defiant look people get when they've already decided they're right no matter what you say. Then she laughed, loud enough for everyone around to hear. "You're not my father," she said, voice sharp. "You don't get to tell me what to do." For a second, time froze. The people nearby turned their heads. Her friends went quiet. Even the DJ looked over, eyebrow raised. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the person she'd become. Someone who thought respect was control and love was suffocating. She waited for me to argue, to yell, to prove her point. But I didn't give her the satisfaction. I nodded once. "You're right," I said simply. "I don't." Then I turned, walked toward the exit, and didn't look back. Outside, the night air was cold and still. My car was parked across the street. I got in, sat for a moment, and stared at the keys in my hand. Then I started the engine and drove home. No calls, no texts, no drama, just silence. It wasn't until halfway through the drive that I realized I wasn't angry anymore, just done. Somewhere behind me, the woman who once said I made her feel safe was now shouting over club music, trying to find her phone, wondering how she'd get home. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't care. I got home just after midnight. The apartment was dark, still, and clean, like it was waiting for a decision I hadn't fully made yet. I walked through each room slowly, noticing the small things I'd stopped paying attention to. Her shoes kicked off by the door, her half-empty perfume bottle on the counter, the framed photo of us on the dresser where she'd once said, "This feels like our forever home." I sat on the couch, phone face down beside me. It started vibrating around 1:30 a.m., the first call, then another, then a text. "Emily, where are you? Why did you leave like that?" "Emily, I can't believe you're being this immature." "Emily, you left me stranded at the club. Are you serious right now?" I didn't respond. I didn't even open them. By 2:15, she switched tones. "Emily, I'm freezing. Just come pick me up. Please." "Emily, you're really going to let me walk home alone? What the hell is wrong with you?" "Emily, fine. I'll get a ride. You'll regret acting like a jerk." I muted my phone, went to the closet, and started packing. Not frantically, methodically. Her clothes first. The sparkly dresses, the high heels she never wore when we went out together, the little trinkets she used to scatter around the house to make it feel more feminine. I put everything neatly into boxes, labeled them with her name, and stacked them by the door. When I got to the ring box, still in the top drawer, I took it out and placed it on the counter beside a notepad. I didn't even have to think about what to write. "You're right, I'm not your father. But I'm also not your safety net." I left the note beside her things and went to bed. Around 5 a.m., the sound of the door handle rattling woke me up. The lock turned. She still had her key. I stayed in the bedroom, quiet, as I heard her heels clacking against the floor. Then silence. Then a soft gasp. She must have seen the boxes. A moment later, her voice broke the silence, small, shaky. "Are you kidding me?" she muttered. "This is insane." The sound of paper crinkling. She'd found the note. Then came the pacing. "You can't just do this, Mark. You can't just walk away like this." Her voice cracked. "This is our home." I didn't answer. She stormed into the bedroom doorway, hair tangled, makeup smudged, still in the same dress from last night. "You really think you're making some big statement right now?" she snapped. "You're acting like a child." I sat up slowly, met her eyes. "Go to bed, Emily. You're drunk." "I'm not drunk," she said, though her voice betrayed her. "You're overreacting. It was just a joke. Everyone flirts at clubs. It's harmless." "Then I guess you should find someone who thinks it's harmless," I said quietly. Her lip trembled. "So that's it. You're ending everything because I said one sentence." I looked at her, the woman who once said I made her feel safe, and realized I didn't feel anything anymore. Not anger, not sadness, just emptiness. "I'm ending it because you stopped respecting what we had," I said. A sentence didn't do that. You did. She went quiet, eyes darting between the boxes and the note. For a moment, she looked like she wanted to cry, but pride won. Fine, she said finally, voice brittle. You'll regret this. Maybe once, I would have. But as she turned and walked out, slamming the door behind her, the only thing I felt was relief. By sunrise, she was gone. And for the first time in months, the apartment felt like mine again. For the first 2 days, I didn't hear from her. I expected a storm, but there was nothing, just silence. I almost wondered if she'd taken it gracefully, if she'd finally realized I was serious. Then I saw her first post. It was a selfie, new makeup, new outfit, fake smile. The caption read, "When men can't handle a confident woman, they call it disrespect." The comments were full of her friends hyping her up. Preach. You don't owe anyone your obedience. His loss. I scrolled past without reacting. I didn't block her, didn't comment, didn't even like it. Silence was more effective. A few days later, I started getting texts from mutual friends. Jake, dude, what happened with you and Em? She's saying you ditched her at a club out of nowhere. Me, ask her why. He didn't reply. Another message came that night from a friend of hers. Sophie, you really need to grow up, Mark. She's devastated. Me, she made her choice. I made mine. I wasn't angry, just done explaining myself to people who already chose her version of the story. Then karma did its work. Someone, I don't know who, posted a short clip on Instagram stories. It was filmed at the club, blurry but unmistakable. Emily, drunk, pointing at me across the dance floor, yelling, "You're not my father. You don't get to tell me what to do." The video spread fast. By that weekend, I started getting DMs from people I hadn't talked to in years. Some laughed. Some just said, "Man, I'm sorry." Her empowerment narrative didn't survive the meme treatment. She deleted the selfie. Then her account went private. 3 days later, I got a text from her out of nowhere. "Emily, people are being cruel. That video makes me look crazy." No apology. No accountability. Just self-pity. I didn't respond. The next morning, another text. "Emily, can we talk? Just once, please. You don't have to forgive me. I just want to explain." I left it on read. By the end of the week, her mother called me. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity won. "Mark," she said, voice strained. "I just want to understand what happened." Emily came home crying. "She told you why?" I asked. "She said you left her stranded," her mother said cautiously. "She left me months ago," I said simply. "Last night just made it official." There was a long pause, then a sigh. "I see." 2 days later, I heard from a friend that Emily had moved back in with her parents. Apparently, her mom had seen the video too. She tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, but the internet doesn't forget easily, not when the whole club saw it. By the end of the month, she'd lost her job at the boutique. Officially, budget cuts. Unofficially, the owner didn't want drama around the store. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. No posts, no gossip, no satisfaction online. I just kept living. People eventually stopped asking what happened. And when they did, I gave them the same answer every time. She wanted freedom. I gave it to her. And it was true. She got everything she wanted. The only thing missing was someone who still cared. A few months passed. I'd moved on, really moved on, not the posting quotes about peace and growth type, but the real kind where you wake up and don't think about them anymore. I'd picked up new projects at work, reconnected with people who actually respected me, and started seeing someone casually. No drama, no control games, just mutual respect. Then, one Friday evening, as I was locking up my office, my phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. "Hey, it's me. Can we talk for a second?" I didn't respond. An hour later, another message. "Emily, please, Mark. Just 5 minutes. I owe you an apology." For a second, I almost laughed. Months of silence, and now she owed me an apology? I set my phone down and went to the gym. When I came back, I had 3 more texts and a missed call. The last message read, "Emily, I just want you to know I regret everything. You didn't deserve what I said that night." I still didn't answer. That weekend, I ran into her by coincidence. I was meeting a client at a cafe downtown, and she walked in, pale, thinner, with that forced smile people wear when they've rehearsed a meeting in their heads. Her voice trembled slightly. Hey, I said, flat polite. I wasn't sure you'd even say hello, she said, clutching her cup like it was an anchor. I shrugged. No reason not to. It's just coffee. She exhaled, eyes darting to the table. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For that night. For everything. I didn't interrupt. I thought you were trying to control me, she continued. I was angry, and my friends kept telling me I needed to stand up for myself. But I ended up pushing away the only person who actually cared. Her voice cracked on that last line. I nodded slowly. You were free to do what you wanted. I was free to leave. She looked up then. That mix of realization and desperation that hits when someone finally understands the consequences are permanent. I miss you, she whispered. You were solid. Real. Everyone else just talks, but you meant what you said. I leaned back in my chair, calm. I still mean what I say. Silence. She swallowed. Are you seeing someone? Yeah. That single word landed harder than any speech could. She blinked, nodding too quickly. She's lucky. Maybe, I said. But she earned it. The conversation ended there. She didn't cry or beg, not out loud. But the way she lingered by the door before leaving told me everything. She finally understood that I wasn't angry. I was gone. And that's the part no one warns them about. That indifference hits harder than revenge. As I walked back to my car, I realized something. She wasn't the villain anymore. Just a woman who thought she could humiliate someone and walk away without consequence. And I was the reminder that some people really do mean it when they say, I'm done. That night, I got one last text. Emily, I hope you're happy. I looked at it, smiled faintly, and locked my phone. I didn't reply, because she didn't need to hear that I was. She needed to live knowing I didn't care. A year later, I was standing in a tux, waiting for my bride to walk down the aisle. The venue wasn't extravagant, just a quiet garden overlooking the water, full of people who actually knew what loyalty meant. When the music started and she appeared, calm, radiant, sure, I didn't think about Emily at all. Not until I spotted her in the crowd. Yes, she was there. Far in the back, half hidden, sitting beside a mutual friend. Her hair was darker, her eyes tired. She wasn't supposed to be invited, but I knew she'd find a way in. People like her always do when they can't move on. They need to witness the proof that you did. Our eyes met for a second. She tried to smile. I didn't. My bride reached me, and everything else faded. The vows, the laughter, the kind of peace that doesn't need to prove anything. But later, after the ceremony, I saw Emily again, outside, alone, pretending to text someone while everyone else celebrated. She looked up as I passed. Congratulations, she said softly. Thank you. She hesitated. You really moved on. I nodded. A long time ago. Her lips trembled just a bit. I didn't think you'd ever forgive me. I did, I said. I just never forgot. That's when she finally broke eye contact. You could tell she wanted to say something more, maybe ask if there was still a chance, maybe explain again, but she didn't. Because deep down, she knew she was only there to see what could have been. As I walked back toward the lights and laughter, I caught her reflection in the window, standing there, watching, small and lost in a place she no longer belonged. That's the thing about people who think freedom means disrespect. They don't realize that once you're gone, their freedom just turns into emptiness. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to prove anything. The silence, the life I built after her, that was enough. And as the night went on, surrounded by people who actually understood loyalty, I realized something simple but absolute. You don't always have to destroy someone to win. Sometimes the most satisfying ending is just living a life they'll never be part of again. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.